Hello YouTube, the iTunes fan back here, and sorry if you have any hearing noise in the background, but today I'll be doing a what's on my iPad videos. You guys seem to like the what's on my iPhone videos, so I'm going to do one with my iPad. So on here I've just got my basic stock apps. FaceTime I use sometimes, calendar. I actually did use it like one time to bookmark the Christmas star, which will be on December 21st, an hour after sunset, in case you guys are curious about those. So be sure to get outside and check those out. Clock app I hardly ever use on my iPad. Home I don't use. Photos I use sometimes. Camera, not as much on my iPad as I do my phone. Most of the time when I add photos, it's usually screenshots. Reminders never use. Notes I use sometimes. Voice memos I never use. Contacts I never use. Maps I sometimes use, but not really. Find My I don't really use. Well, unless I got a lost device, of course. App Store I like to browse through the app sometimes. Books I don't really use because I haven't bothered to buy any books. Sorry if you hear my dogs barking. Podcasts I never use. Apple TV app I like to browse the TV shows sometimes, but other than that I don't really use it. News I never use. Stocks I never use. Measure I never use, and settings I never use. On here I've got the apps in my dock. Messages I don't really use that much on my iPad. Safari I do use it kind of often. Music I never use. Mail I sometimes use, mainly clear out my mail, and files I never use. Now here we've got my second row where I have multiple different applications. Photo Booth is this really cool photo app. It'll take some personal photos, so I'm not going to show you right now because I'm not in my regular recording studio. Shortcuts I actually don't use. Sorry if you hear that annoying noise. I cannot control my dogs. iTunes Store I don't use. Tips I don't ever use because I know how to use an iPad. Twitter I use sometimes on the iPad. Instagram I sometimes use on the iPad, but it isn't as optimized for it. YouTube I use all the time on my iPad. YouTube Studio I use sometimes. Check my channel. And here I've got my school folder, which includes the Google Slides app, the Gmail app, which I use for my school email, Google Docs, Google Classroom, Remind, and Zoom. And here I've got my Google Crap folder, and here I have Chrome and Google Maps. Google Maps is actually a web app that I bookmarked because I like to do street viewing sometimes. Then I've got my iWork apps, which these aren't really iWork apps, so I've got Pages, Numbers, Keynote, and iMovie, and Feedback. Feedback I never use. iMovie I never use. Keynote I never use. Keynote I very rarely use. Numbers I don't really use. Pages I use sometimes. eBay I use sometimes to look at devices. Dual Jump I don't really play as much as I used to. In the summer I would play all the time, but now I don't really play. Roku app I mainly use that on my phone to control my Roku. Peacock I never use that much often. Weatherbug I do sometimes use, and Minesweeper I don't really play that much, but that is all for this video. So please like to promote so that when my videos get ranked higher in the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe to so that way I can get one step for monetization. Please share so that to promote my content. And please comment if you have any questions. And please check out my socials, links below. Check out my website, link below. And I won't do these videos too often because I do not really change my iPad screen home layout this much. And this is my iPad Pro 9.7 inches. And that is all for this video, so peace out.